Does spending money in the offseason really correlate to winning? Today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your host, Booney. That's right, one name. Episodes will drop Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. That's Oakland, Vegas, and yes, Sacramento time, whether you are on your way to work, driving back from work, or just listening casually during the day. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. I'm from the Bay Area, and I've been a diehard A's fan since '81. I'm here to bring you a real fan's take, covering everything from Oakland to Sacramento to Las Vegas. This is the place for A's fans to get the latest game breakdowns, team news, and more. This is where the passion of the fans take center stage. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. And please hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. It is December, which means winter meetings are literally around the corner. Free agent signings, extensions, trades. It is possibly the time of year where fans actually like this part more than the season itself. As every year there is some type of new drama going on, whether it is Juan Soto, Blake Snell signing with the Dodgers, whatever it may be. Today, I am dedicating a full episode on the question and examine whether spending money actually does correlate with winning. The obvious answer is yes, 100% it does. But I'm not quite sure. So let's see what the numbers actually say. In order to look at this from the correct perspective, I am taking my data all the way back to 1995, 29 years. And the reason I am using 1995 is because that is the first year MLB expanded the playoff format from 2 teams for the American League and 2 teams for the National League to 4 teams for each league. That format lasted until 2012 when it got expanded to 5 teams to each league, and recently got expanded to 6 teams for each league in 2022. I am not considering 2020, which was the COVID year, not because I don't think it counts and everything any team did should be erased from the record book. No, not because of any of that. Only reason I am not including the COVID year is because they had 8 teams per league for a total of 16 teams in the playoffs, which would throw off the data for the other 28 years. So yes, we will be looking at 28 years of baseball, not 29. I am taking a team's opening day payroll ranking out of all 30 MLB teams for each respective season. First and foremost, most importantly, we have to define what winning is or what success is, which can be difficult considering every team has a different definition for what winning is. But in order to do this correctly, it needs to stay the same for all the teams. You cannot simply say winning a World Series is winning and that's it, black and white, right? Can't do that. Winning a World Series is very, very hard to do. In fact, since 1995, there has been 7 teams that have won the World Series multiple times. The Yankees won it 5 times, Red Sox 4, Giants 3, and the Marlins, Braves, Astros, and Cardinals won it twice each. Out of the 20 World Series championships in the 28 years we are examining, 7 MLB teams have won almost 75% of the championships. 6 of those teams had the top payroll in all of baseball. All 5 Yankee titles and the 2018 Red Sox team were the top payrolls in all of baseball. 5 teams were in the top 5 in payroll for their championship. 1997 Marlins, 04, 07, and 2013 Red Sox teams, and the 95 Braves teams. All 3 of the Giants championships, they were ranked in the top 6 to 10 in payroll in all of baseball. 2003 Marlins, 2021 Braves, both Cardinals and Astros titles, teams' payrolls were outside the top 10. The Yankees' run was the last dynasty we have had, but they have not won a World Series since 2009. That's 15 years. I don't think you can define success or winning by simply winning a World Series title. That's just not accurate nor fair. Since 1995, the top seeds from each league have met in the World Series only 6 times. Braves and Indians in 95, Braves and Yankees in 99, Phillies and Devil Rays in 2008, Phillies and Yankees in 2009, Cardinals and Red Sox in 2013, and the last time that happened was, believe it or not, this past year with the Dodgers and Yankees. On the flip side of that coin, the very last seed from each league has gotten to the World Series 13 times, with the bottom seed winning that title 5 times. 97 Marlins, 2002 Angels, 2003 Marlins, 2004 Red Sox, and the 2014 Giants. There have been 2 World Series where the bottom seed or the last seed from each league has gone up against each other. 2002, the Angels over the Giants, and 2004 with the Red Sox winning over the Cardinals. In other words, what I am trying to get at is anything can happen in the playoffs. Therefore, the ultimate goal for each team is to simply make the postseason. And that is what we will use to define success and or winning. Here's the next question we must answer, which is expectations based on your team's payroll. For example, the A's do not have the same expectations as, let's say, the Dodgers or Yankees. But do the Giants have the same expectations as the Dodgers and or Yankees? In the sense of winning a World Series, I don't believe so. But as far as making the playoffs, absolutely. Being from the Bay Area, I know this year was an extremely disappointing year for the Giants. And why was it disappointing? It was disappointing because they spent money. They ranked 10th in payroll in all of baseball, and their expectation was no doubt to make the playoffs. I think everybody listening would agree with that. The Giants spent money to win with an end goal of making the playoffs. 12 teams make the playoffs every single year since 2022. 10 teams from 2012 to 2021, and 8 teams from 1995 to 2011. We have defined what winning is, and now we are going to determine whether spending money correlates to winning. Are you in the top 12 in payroll since 2022, and did you make the playoffs? Are you in the top 10 in payroll from 2012 to 2021, and did you make the playoffs? Are you in the top 8 in payroll, and did you make the playoffs from 95 to 2011? Where did the bottom half of the league in payroll fare during these years? And were they completely overmatched? Let's find out. Coming up next. This episode is brought to you in part by Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets and more with Game Time picks. I'm looking to go to the Niners game this Sunday where they desperately need a win when they face off against the Chicago Bears at Levi's Stadium. What I love about the Game Time experience is the all-in pricing feature, where it shows you the total up front of your ticket with no surprise fees at checkout. It's the only ticketing app that gives me complete peace of mind. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We have determined that winning and or success is making the postseason. Teams spend money to obtain the best possible players to win in order to make the postseason. And the expectation we are setting is that if you are in the top 12 in your league in payroll from 2022 to 2024, you have spent money in order to win. From 2012 to 2021, the expectation is that you are in the top 10 in the league in payroll. Based on the playoff format for those years, was a total of 10 teams, 5 from each league. From 2022 to 2024, it was 12 teams, 6 from each league. So that is where I'm getting those numbers from. The expectation is that you will make the playoffs. So again, if you are in the top 12 in all of baseball in payroll from 2022 to 2024, you have the expectation to make the playoffs. In 2012 to 2021, top 10. And from 1995 to 2011, top 8. There were 8 teams allowed in the playoffs in those years' playoff format. With all that being said, we know it is not possible for all 12 teams in the 2024 playoffs, as an example, to be ranked 1 through 12 in payroll. So how do we determine if spending actually equates to winning? I am actually going to set the bar considerably low and call it 50% of the teams that make the postseason must rank between 1 and 12 in payroll in all of baseball. What does this all mean? To make it very clear, I'm going to use 2024 as an example. 2024 had a total of 12 playoff teams, 6 from the American League, 6 from the National League. How we are going to determine if spending correlates directly with winning is that if 6 teams out of those 12 are ranked between 1 and 12 in all of baseball in payroll, in other words, a 50% mark, then yes, spending does directly correlate with winning. Anything below that number will result in no, it does not correlate with winning. In any exercise, you cannot base anything just on 1 year, but believe that 28 years is a long enough period of time to give us a conclusion that may be somewhat accurate. Now, when I created this formula, I had no idea what the results were going to entail. I just went with it blindly and hey, let's see what happens. But before I get into the raw results, let me give you some interesting findings that the data did entail. Since 1995, the top 3 teams in MLB payroll have been in the postseason every single year, with the exception of 2008 and 2023. And yes, those 3 teams have either been the Dodgers, the Yankees, or the Red Sox. MLB's largest payroll for a given season has won the World Series 6 times, 5 of them being the Yankees, and in 2018, it was the Red Sox. 4 times has the World Series winner been the top payroll and the top seed in the playoffs. 3 for the Yankees and 1 for the Red Sox. From 1995 to 2024, there have been 262 playoff teams. This is not counting 2020. Teams with a payroll on the bottom half of the league, meaning teams that were ranked 16 through 30 in MLB payroll, have made the playoffs 77 times, or at a rate of 29%. There have been a total of 112 teams that have played for an opportunity to play in the World Series. In other words, made the ALCS or the NLCS. And out of those 112 teams, 46 of them have been ranked in the top 5 in MLB payroll for that given season. Around 41% of the time, a top 5 ranking in MLB payroll gets you an opportunity to go to the World Series. Okay, let's dive into the results and find out if there is a direct correlation between spending money and winning games. Let's break it down by years and the playoff formats. From 2022 to 2024, there was a total of 36 playoff teams, 12 playoff teams per year. Out of those 36 playoff teams, 21 of the 36 playoff teams were in the top 12 in payroll. From 2012 to 2021, not including 2020, there was a total of 90 playoff teams, 10 playoff teams per year. And out of those 90 playoff teams, 42 of the 90 playoff teams were in the top 10 in payroll. Lastly, from 1995 to 2011, there was a total of 136 playoff teams, 8 playoff teams per year. And out of those 136 playoff teams, 68 were in the top 10 in payroll, exactly 50%. When we put everything together from 1995 to 2024, again, not including 2020, there was a total of 262 playoff teams, and the total amount of playoff teams that were either in the top 12, top 10, or top 8 in MLB payroll, depending on the playoff format that was used, was a total of 131 out of 262 teams. Are you kidding me? Exactly 50%. When I created this, I did not know what the result was going to be. And it lands right at 50%, not proving or disproving my original take. Unreal. So let's use 2020 as a tiebreaker. Why not, right? Okay. 16 teams made the playoffs in 2020, and only 7 teams that made the playoffs were in the top 16 in payroll. So, yeah, according to my statement and the tiebreaker, spending money does not correlate winning. But then again, I ruled out 2020 at the very beginning, and the numbers are really so close, so tight to begin with. There's really no distinct conclusion. At the end of the day, what is my big takeaway? What is the point to all this? I'm going to get to that up next. Today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. When I personally look at a sports book, there are 2 things that are most important to me. Is it easy to deposit? And more importantly, is it easy to withdraw? FanDuel checks both boxes for me. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. So what is it? Does spending money correlate with winning or success with how we have defined winning and or success? Short answer, yes and no. As I spoke about yesterday, the key to winning is not getting the best players. It is getting the right players. Baseball has turned to statistics, analytics, and basically raw numbers. Now, these numbers are supposed to equate to a salary, and the sum of all salary is supposed to equate to wins. That's the idea. That is not the case, though. And this exercise has absolutely 100% proven it. But the exercise also hasn't proven that it does not correlate to winning either. So, what is the answer? I'm going to get to that. In this day and age of social media, where emotions are often given with a thumbs up or thumbs down behind a computer screen, a human element has been lost. And in my opinion, it has carried over to different aspects of life as well. We are all judged by certain metrics, and those metrics equate to what your worth is. This is no different in baseball either. And unfortunately, people get lost in the shuffle with these metrics and these statistics. They get undervalued. The clubhouse guy, the togetherness guy, the sacrifice guy, the get your teammates back guy, all get lost in this whole game of statistics. They would trade in a sacrifice guy, a togetherness guy, a clubhouse guy in 2 seconds if that meant 5 homers over a 162 game schedule. and it's not even a debate. In 2024, the Mets had the highest payroll in all of baseball and had, without a doubt, a magical year. You could credit that to a lot of things, but they are nowhere close to what they did without guys like Mark Vientos and Jose Iglesias, both who were making near the league minimum. Middle management in sports, whether at the Division I college level or in professional sports, especially baseball, are wonderful at two things: saying yes, sir, to upper management and covering their own ass. Baseball is so numbers oriented today because it gives the person the chance to justify their action in case of failure, not success, but in case of failure. It protects their job. They ask all the questions for a top prospect or free agent. How hard a kid throws. What's his velocity? What's his spin rate? What is his bat speed? What's his exit velocity? They don't ask the right questions. Does his teammates like him? Is he coachable? Is he unselfish? Is he a good dude? You know who they leave those questions for? They leave those questions for the kid who no one else wants, just in case your first choice doesn't come your way. Once again, does spending correlate to wins? Well, I'll answer it this way. Money gives you an opportunity to get the right players, not the best players, but the right players over teams that do not spend. But if you spend that money on the wrong players, it does not correlate to wins. So my answer, as it was earlier, is yes and no. So I do hope baseball takes a good long look in the mirror and spends on the right guys, not just the guys with the big numbers. And I hope the teams that are not spending, like the A's, if an opportunity presents itself, I hope they open up that checkbook, even for a guy that does not meet your quote unquote metrics. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen today. Or your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts.